but right now, Mr. Howard Nemerov with Pajamas Media is with us. And Howard, good evening to you, sir.
Hey, good evening, Cam.
Good talking to you again. Thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Oh, well, I always appreciate the invite to be on your show.
All right, so your latest column at Pajamas Media, did the National Rifle Association buy Congress? We've seen a lot of these allegations from the media that the NRA hates science, the NRA wants to see every American armed to the hilt, and now you've got this notion that nobody in Congress can support the Second Amendment simply because that's what they believe. They had to have been bought off by the NRA and the gun lobby, right?
That's correct, and if it wasn't for the Joyce Foundation, there would be nobody left to spend any money to balance out the evil gun lobby.
Yeah, so you took a look at the Joyce Foundation, which, a lot of folks who maybe are casually following this issue, they've heard of the Brady campaign, maybe they've heard of the VPC. Joyce Foundation may or may not ring a bell because this is a group that directs money to other organizations rather than spends a lot of money promoting itself. Yeah,
and unlike the NRA, which has 4.3 million members, the Joyce Foundation has no membership. What it has is a dozen well-heeled directors that have a direct connection to President Obama, who was a former director of the Joyce Foundation.
Yep.
And they just spend millions and millions of dollars all on groups that are anti-rights, anti-Second Amendment.
Yeah, and the president of the Joyce Foundation, Ellen Alberding, says that she plans new efforts to tap into a, quote, silent majority, taking a phrase from Richard Nixon, that she believes favors more restrictive gun control laws. In other words, despite the fact that poll after poll after poll shows support for new gun control laws not popular, she believes that for whatever reason, there is a majority of Americans that doesn't show up in any of these polls, doesn't show up on Election Day, but they're out there.
That's correct. That's exactly her point. And even after the tragedy with Gabrielle Giffords, when Rasmussen and Gallup polled people, a supermajority were still opposed to stricter gun control. They did not believe the stricter gun laws would have done anything to stop the tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you started following the money here, and what did you find, Howard? Is the NRA the organization in the United States that is spending the most amount of money on lobbying efforts in Congress?
Yeah. Well, for the pro-rights side, you could say that's true. The entire firearms industry has spent less than $7 million since 1990. However, the NRA has spent a total of about $128 million. That seems like a lot of money. However, I have published research again and again showing how the trial lawyers in this country are consistently lining up on the side of those politicians who support gun control. We have George Soros, whose Open Society Institute promotes firearms licensing and registration.
Mm-hmm.
Another billionaire, Michael Bloomberg, who heads the Mayors Against Illegal Guns. We have the American Bar Association, which recently published a report recommending federal and state laws requiring microstamping, which again would require licensing and registration. Then the Trial Lawyers Association themselves, which is interestingly enough now called the American Association for Justice, has spent more money on politicians and lobbying than the NRA, with all of its 4+ million members.
And, that's what's really interesting when you get into the sort of per-person spending among members. As you point out, the trial lawyers lobby has, quote, over 2,000 attorneys, and they've spent about a little over $1,100 per attorney during the 2008 election cycle, compared to the NRA's, as you say, $4.61 per member.
Yeah, that was Skadden Arps. Now, this is an interesting law firm. They represent a patent holder who would stand to benefit hugely from federal gun control licensing and registration. With one of their, I don't have that data right now, but in one of my earlier articles, they are representing somebody who has a patent on I think either a microstamping or some way to link a gun to one person. They've got about 2,000 lawyers, and they've spent about $1,170 per attorney, whereas the NRA has spent about $4.61 per member. It gets pretty interesting when you look at the per member amounts.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Howard, this is why I love having you on, because you do the digging that the mainstream media doesn't do. You correct the record when it needs to be corrected. And again, thanks for coming on the program tonight, sir. Look forward to doing this again very soon.